Yesterday, we came on here and discussed Daniel Jacobson growing 2 inches. And I was, I don't know, sad at the fact that it seemed like nothing was happening with Purdue. Couple things on that. Number one, we heard from Chris Foreman, who said that the reason social media clips have been quiet from practice lately is because they're working on a huge project. So I don't know what that means, but I'm intrigued and excited. And then number two, almost right on cue, we got some intel on what Purdue has been looking like behind the scenes. So a lot of player specific quips on what's going on with Purdue basketball. I believe a lot of this is documented on the On3 site. I think it's like Purdue Gold and Black, but I know like it's available to read if you have an On3 subscription. And then obviously anytime that stuff's available, I like to like kind of vet it with people that are subject matter experts. So we have done that with this stuff. And it seems like there's a pretty clear consensus on like what's going on with these individual players. So let's run through some of the bullet points and we can just react to these as if they're good or bad for Purdue basketball and what they mean. The loudest thing that I heard is that Trey Kaufman-Ren has been a star. That's obviously needle moving for sure. But the main selling point, or like one of the first things that comes up with how he's looked, has been his playmaking. That's interesting to me. I wouldn't expect that that's even like a part of what they're trying to get from TKR. What do you think about that?
Right. So it's just interesting because the whole thing kind of about Purdue coming to this basketball season was like, we're going to get out and run. We're going to get out and do this and get out and we have these athletes on the wing, these shooters on the wing. We're going to get out and run this year. It's going to be a little less like Zach Edey oriented, obviously, like post up, maybe focus, right? Ball in Braden's hands more. Maybe he's more the engine. I didn't really have TKR being a playmaker on my bingo card. And also TKR being a playmaker would indicate to me that it's more half court stuff, right? Because you're not going to have when I hear playmaker TKR, I'm not thinking like TKR grabs the board and just like takes off, right? And just like brings it up the court and makes the right play. I'm thinking more so like, slow it down. We're going to get TKR a touch at the elbow and he can do a dribble handoff or do like some cutting off ball, or guys can cut off ball on TKR. So it signals to me that maybe a little bit more half courty than full courty that I thought for Purdue.
That and look, it's summer, so like you want players to show new things they've added to the game, like anything. If Trey is like, I don't even know this to be true, but if Trey's on one team and Braden's on the other, presumably those are the two best players, and it's probably just like, oh, Trey has to carry the offensive burden a little bit, especially if he's playing with like a freshman backcourt. So that by default would kind of test him and see like, oh, what are you capable of? Can you create for yourself? Can you create for others? And if he's showing good signs of that, that's good. With that said, when the season gets here, I don't want TKR creating. I want TKR finishing. I don't really want to spend any time this season like trying to turn TKR into Malik Renew. You're playing with the best point guard in the country. And that's not saying like, yeah, I would compare it to Marquette. I always go back to Braden Smith is basically Tyler Kolek this year. And Oso Ighodaro could pass a little. Oso Ighodaro could do some things, but you weren't running offense through Oso.
Also, I and maybe it is like this. But I feel pretty good saying that if you're looking like for TKR to be the Oso, like stop.
Yeah.
No. That's
Oso is a little
and you
more
don't
unique than that.
yeah, you don't want him to do that either. That's not like a just because you can do things sometimes on the basketball court doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
Because it's about what works. I think sometimes because you can do it, it takes away from your other strengths. Like let's just focus on those strengths. And then on the same token, like you said, like you don't need TKR to play make.
Yeah.
It's not warranted. You don't need that at all.
Yeah. It's a good sign if it's happening in the summer. Something I wouldn't want to be a staple of the Purdue offense this year is like TKR, point forward. Like, just be our forward. We got a great point guard. Speaking of the great point guard, by all accounts, Braden Smith has just been dominant. Like that, it's like, yeah, Braden's Braden. We don't even need to give you updates because he's the best player in the gym. Obviously you buy that, right? No concerns there.
No concerns whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I would like to see more facial hair updates, but other than that, there's nothing for me to even inquiry about with Braden. He's the best player in the gym at all times. Fletcher has been a little injured, I guess. I think he had a day off right before this update came out, but everyone's basically like, yeah, Fletcher's Fletcher. He's been very good. Tatum camp went well. So again, would like to see him kind of in the mix. If he's not in the mix, if practice has been in and out of the lineup with health stuff, opens the door pretty largely for Miles Colvin and Cam Heide, I would say.
Yeah, 100%. And the thing is, because of the wing options and depth, I think they have, you don't really worry about you get Fletch get healthy. His spot is his spot. It'll be there when he comes back. The one thing I do get concerned about is it seems that early on this summer, and no, I'm not projecting this onto Purdue fans, but once the season ended and early in the summer, there was a lot of there's a Purdue contingent that was man, maybe Lawyer needs to come off the bench, right? And Colvin needs to start, or somebody else needs to start, and Lawyer off the bench would be better for this Purdue team. I've never been on that train. I think that benching Fletcher would be a crazy move to make after what him and Braden have done these past couple years. But I don't really think it's anything to really balk at or worry about. Just get healthy, and I think his spot is his spot.
Yeah.
If anything, it gives some of the things we've seen from Colvin in these clips. Maybe he's taking advantage of that time because he seems to be doing a lot more off the dribble and things like that. So maybe a positive development for Purdue.
Yeah, the video clips of Colvin have been really good. There hasn't been a ton of anything on Heide really, and even in this update, I'm talking the on-3 update, and then yes, what I've heard from talking to folks as well. Not a ton of talk on Colvin and Heide, and I kind of lump those two together because to me they're the obvious breakout candidates, and they're both stepping into presumed starter roles unless they start one of the 7-footers, and that's huge. They both played 8 and 12 minutes a game last year. So opportunities there this year for those two. And they both shot the piss out of the ball. We believe in both players in various ways. My thing would just be this little miniature eyebrow raiser for me. If we're not hearing a ton of specifics on Colvin and Heide, I don't think that's great. We basically have player specific updates from intel from Purdue practices on CJ Cox and Jakari Harris looking great, which I'll get to in a moment. TKR looking great. Braden looking great. We have updates on Will Berg and Daniel Jacobson, which I'll get to in a moment. We even get a call out for Fletcher Lawyer, who didn't even play. And then when we get to Heide and Colvin, it's just yeah, we think those guys are starters at this point. But nothing about how they're looking. That's the number one thing I would want. If I was making a list as a Purdue fans of what do I want to hear? It's Heide and Colvin are awesome. And
yeah, but it seems all we're getting is Jakari Harris and CJ Cox updates.
I don't like that. And I'm not panicking, but it's not what I would want to hear if I was a Purdue fan. Two of those updates, though, they're very good. Jakari Harris and CJ Cox both look like rotation players for everybody that I talked to, and this written update as well. The way they phrased it in the On3 article is basically any other year, both these guys would be in the mix to start. But on a team with Braden and Fletcher, obviously, that it's not in the cards. I kind of buy this. I think Jakari's body is pretty ready based on all the film and who he's coming in as. And I think CJ Cox's shot making is for real. And we have a video that came out today, Friday morning, on the Purdue Freshmen that Cart and I did. And we go in detail on both CJ and Jakari. I am still a little skeptical that both these guys will be in the rotation. Even if they both look ready, to me, they are competing for one spot, backing up the guard positions here. And kind of similarly to last year where Heide ended up earning the minutes and Colvin picked up some DNPs, I think you're going to see that. I think it's going to be one of these two is the backup guard on the team. The other one is probably getting some DNPs during conference play. My money would still be on Jakari Harris to win those minutes.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that's what works best too for Purdue in general. if Jakari and CJ Cox's role becomes larger than you think it should be, that would be because it's coming at the expense of like maybe some other players, the guys in front of them not playing as well.
Yeah.
Also, not to put my hater cap on, but I'm going to put it on right now. If the starting backcourt was Cox and Harris, I don't think this team would be that good.
I don't think we can say that, but it does feel like, I mean, think back 2 years ago. We're approaching a season, and the whole dialogue on Purdue was they have no backcourt. What is Painter doing? They didn't get anyone. And then 2 games into the season, it was like, well, Smith and Lawyer are awesome, and they're going to be great for the next 4 years. So Cox, and it kind of reminds me of that, like Cox and Harris as a tandem. There's a world where if Purdue didn't have veterans, like they would just play right now, and we would see how it works. I think it's great insurance and a great luxury for Painter that he doesn't have to do that. But it's also one of those things, man. Like if I'm Cox or Jakari, you're gonna have to be real patient here. Like you're basically looking at the beginning of your junior year before serious role is on the table, and I'm sure they could both eat into it. And you never know what happens in their interim, but it's great that they look good. If they're that good, the two of them might be like, why am I not getting more minutes? Down the list here, the center spot. This is probably the most pointedly negative update I think there's been. And it's not like killing either guy, but it's a lot of like, ugh, one of these two is going to have to play. It's not,
I'm
it's
so I'm so mad at myself.
for you. You got duped yesterday.
Yeah, why couldn't I got this before I did the thing?
So the basic MO is this. Wilberg's been extremely inconsistent, and Daniel Jacobson is just not physically ready. You stunned by that, Cart?
No, no, I'm not.
Inconsistent guy is inconsistent.
Yeah, wow, crazy concept.
I am surprised they're like. I would think Jacobson would translate as physically ready given how tall he is. I really would.
This is the thing for me. Like they kind of say like his physicality. Like, what did you really expect? Like he's a freshman coming into college basketball 7'4". I don't think you expect his physicality to be at its peak, right? So even with maybe these physicality issues, still 7'4", good shot blocker.
Yeah.
So like that, it to be honest with the physicality part didn't even like shock me and or worry me. Like I'm saying like I'm mad I didn't know this yesterday because I would have changed. I still feel the same way. Like I'm with you on the train. And I know they pointed out that maybe this wouldn't be the starting lineup, but I still think Jacobson, even with the physicality issues
Yeah.
that are maybe being brought up, you just cannot start the 7'4" guy.
As a resident, Daniel Jacobson will start for this team guy. I want to say that despite this update pointing very skeptically at that, I feel stronger in its likelihood. And this is why. I read this update between Berg and Jacobson to be this. Berg ain't as good as Jacobson. That's what reading between the lines. Oh, Will Berg's really inconsistent. Okay, he's not better than Daniel Jacobson. He's not going to play over Daniel Jacobson. So if we have to play one of these guys is really how they're approaching this. That means you have to play Daniel Jacobson. That means you have to play the 7'4" freshman. And even if you feel he's not ready, I think when games get here, based on how he looked with Team USA, he's going to end up elevating this team in a pretty big way still, even if they're, oh, the frame's not ready. It's July. He just got on campus. Of course the frame's not ready. Give it 3 more months. We'll see where he's at. So with that said, the projected starting lineup, which I found it interesting that they went so pointedly to projected starting lineup here, but the projected starting lineup here was Braden, Fletcher, Colvin, Heidi, TKR. So going small ball, no 7-footer at the 5. Like I said, I still am going to go the opposite way. I think Jacobson finds a way there. But as of today, that's what they're expecting, which is interesting. Last few updates, they did single out Caleb first and basically like, hey, the reason we're not mentioning Caleb first at all is because the 7-footers imposing size provides different looks, and defensively it helps TKR. I would read that just to mean Caleb first isn't in the plans right now. And I feel bad for Caleb because he was once a starter on a 1 seed with this team. I love Caleb first. I think he's a great guy. We got to meet him in Lincoln. feels to me as if he's not in the plans whatsoever with this team.
Yeah, but to me, like, why is well, I don't know if he's in it, but like Caleb First should be in the plans before Will Berg should be.
Caleb First isn't 7 feet, and Will Berg has multiple years of eligibility.
All right. I guess we gotta keep doing this dance.
Well, I think it's if TKR like won all the minutes at the 4, that's where First was going to play. Painter doesn't want to play First as like a true 5, I don't think. So, like, he's not beating out TKR, and he kind of just lost in the shuffle. And now you got these 7-footers. And then last thing, we've alluded to these guys, but Jack Benter and Raleigh Burgess just really far away. That's basically the update. Apparently, Jack Benter needs to lose some weight, is what people are saying. Can I just one more time? They had to take Jack Benter 2 years ago when he was a sophomore in high school. They had to do that at the expense of like maybe getting a transfer one day.
Yeah, Greg, come on, it's paint.
You're right.
Paint.
Just, I mean, he can't go back on anything you ever do, even if it's to the detriment of your team, and you have to redshirt a guy that will never play for you. But all in all, I just keep dying on this hill, man. It's tough. All in all, can we add this up? Can we do like a stock up, stock down, stock even quickly?
Yeah.
Stock up, TKR, I think.
I'm going stock down.
Why?
I don't like it.
Why? They say he's great.
It's great and he's playmaking.
All right. I'm going stock up, TKR, stock. I guess it's the same, but it should be up with Braden for me. Like those two are studs.
Yeah.
Stock the same, Fletcher, Heidi, Colvin.
I'm gonna go down on Colvin and Heidi because I haven't seen, or at least Heidi, I haven't seen really do much.
So you're going down on Colvin, Heidi, TKR, I assume Berg and Jacobson.
No, my stock's the same on Jacobson. I'm not, the physicality thing doesn't look at him like, yeah.
Stock up on Jakari and CJ Cox.
Yes.
Yes. Stock even on Purdue as a whole.
Stock down for me.
Stock down.
Yeah.
Stock even for me. Car, you know what I love about you?
That I'm handsome?
You're reliable. I can count on you. You know, honestly, you remind me of Aaron Henry a little bit. Remember when, like, you know, their back was against the wall, nothing was going right, and man just showed up every day. He didn't make excuses. There were no problems. There were just solutions.
Sounds like me.
That's you. And it also reminds me of Duncan Mechanical Solutions, because if you're looking for quality furnace repair, look no further than the heating and air experts that you can trust. Comfort and quality are their standard. They're an HVAC company that serves Northeast Indiana and Southern Michigan, whether it's heating and air conditioning, plumbing, kitchen and bath remodeling, or emergency services when you need them most. Duncan Mechanical Solutions has reliable service that you can count on. Cart, remember when your basement almost exploded?
I remember when my basement almost exploded. I remember when my furnace itself was acting funny. I remember when my AC was acting funny. I wish I had Duncan in my back pocket. I wouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been anywhere in Northern Indiana or Southern Michigan that hasn't been perfectly cool or perfectly warm, depending on when the day called for. And that's because of Duncan Mechanical Solutions. They are the presenting sponsor for the month of July. Shout out to Duncan Mechanical Solutions. Go to duncanmechanicalsolutions.com to learn more.